All right, today we're going to get into the ideas of a real visionary, Dr. BR Ambedkar. And we're not just looking at him as some historical figure. Nope, we're going to unpack his timeless blueprint for what actually makes a nation strong. Now, when you hear his name, I'm guessing one thing probably pops into your head right away: the architect of the Indian Constitution. And yeah, that's absolutely right. It's the very foundation of modern India. But here's the thing. His vision went so much deeper than just the words on a page. He was really interested in the character of a nation's people. So that leads us to the big question for today. What did he believe is the source of a nation's true strength? Well, for him, it all starts right here, with the first and maybe most important pillar of his whole vision: the power of an educated mind. You see, for Dr. Ambedkar, education wasn't just about getting a degree or landing a good job. He saw it as the #1 tool for liberation. It was the key that could unlock a person's potential, and honestly, the very engine that builds a nation, from the ground up. He put it so perfectly himself when he said this: cultivation of mind should be the ultimate aim of human existence. This wasn't about memorizing facts. It was about developing the ability to think for yourself, to reason, to question. For Ambedkar, that was the whole point of being human. So what does this cultivated mind actually look like in a person? Well, it means you're a rational thinker, not just someone who blindly follows what they're told. It means you're capable of thinking independently. You know your rights, and because of that, you have the confidence to step up and participate, which in turn makes democracy itself stronger. Okay, so this idea of an educated citizen flows right into the next piece of the puzzle: understanding that tricky balance of being a citizen. And that brings us to his second pillar: freedom with responsibility. And this is where Ambedkar gives us a really important warning. He basically said that rights and duties are two sides of the exact same coin. If we only ever demand our rights but completely forget about our responsibilities, well, those rights start to lose their meaning. And same goes for freedom. If it's just reckless and chaotic with no structure, who gets hurt first? The most vulnerable people in society. So what was freedom to him then? It wasn't just being able to do whatever you want. True freedom, in his mind, was the active presence of justice, of dignity, and of equality for every single person, all of it protected by the law. It's a freedom where everyone feels safe and respected. And this right here, this might be one of his most powerful ideas. He said, liberty cannot be divorced from equality. Equality cannot be divorced from fraternity. Think of it like a three-legged stool. You've got liberty, equality, and this sense of community or brotherhood. If you kick out any one of those legs, the whole thing just collapses. You absolutely cannot have one without the others. Which leads us to the final and maybe the most personal part of his vision. These are the qualities he thought were absolutely essential inside a person. It's all about our internal compass: dignity and hard work. Now, when Ambedkar talked about self-respect, he wasn't talking about some passive, feel-good idea. For him, it was the very foundation of dignity. It was this active force inside you that gives you the courage to stand up and demand justice when you've been wronged. It's that inner voice that says, I am worthy of respect. And you can imagine, right? When people have that kind of self-respect, it changes everything. A citizen with self-respect doesn't just silently accept being humiliated. They become confident, they become fearless, and they're empowered to go out and contribute to society in a positive way, building a better community for everyone. But of course, none of this just happens on its own. Dr. Ambedkar was a huge believer that hard work is the engine that drives all real change. And I mean, his own life was the ultimate proof of that, right? His entire journey was a story of unbelievable discipline, constant struggle, and just pure persistence. He showed us that real change comes from real effort. So, all of this brings us to the most important part. What do we actually do with this blueprint today? How do we turn these amazing ideas into something real, a living tribute? And that's really the question for all of us, isn't it? Honoring his vision isn't just about celebrating him on one day of the year. The real challenge is, how do we apply these ideas in our own lives every single day? And lucky for us, he pretty much left us a checklist. It's all about practicing education that actually enlightens us, not just gives us information. It's about balancing our rights with our duties, making sure our freedom is always guided by the principle of equality for everyone else. It means choosing reason instead of blind belief, standing up with self-respect instead of staying silent, and choosing hard work over making excuses. Let's end with a quote from him that just perfectly captures his whole philosophy. Life should be great rather than long. It's such a powerful call to action, right? A reminder that a life of purpose, a life of impact, that's what truly matters. It leaves us with something to think about. What does a great life really mean to you?